feet of snow fell in some areas, and power was knocked out to thousands of homes. Moving up on 28 minutes before the hour, and Mark, I imagine a lot of people out there are still scraping windows and trying to move slush away from their cars so they can move them on out this time.
Jack Nicholson is the only guy I know that when he walks around has a soundtrack that walks around with him. That's how cool he is. This weather report is sponsored by Sunny Delight, the good stuff kids go for. Bada bing, look at this. You're sitting around scraping. There you go, South Beach. We love South Beach. Last year when we did the 5 cities in 5 days, we were down there. Nestor Torres was with us. We also had Gloria Stefan, her husband Emilia. They have a restaurant down there, and John, the fabulous John Cicada. Let's talk about the weather. I showed you that to tell you this. This is the winter right here. Boston, Massachusetts, at 5:40 this morning, they broke their all-time record ever for the most snowfall, and there's still a couple of more snow weeks ahead of you. Look at this. New York City's had this much, 50 inches. Pittsburgh, 68. Sparta, New Jersey, 79. Binghamton, 116. You ever tried to shovel 116 inches of snow? We got more to show you. Here we go. A little bit colder again in the Northeast. You're going to see some snow across the New England area, and then you're also going to see a little snow down through southern portions of the Northeast, but that'll be later on today. Nice through the center of the country, nice through the Southwest, rain through Central California up through the Northwest. Eric?
Thanks, Mark. Everybody's talking about health care reform. Well, shame on you, reporter. Arnold Diaz is here to show us one problem any reform plan is going to have to deal with. Good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Yeah, we're talking about overbilling and fraudulent billing. It's one of the biggest problems in healthcare, driving prices up for the consumer. We investigated one medical supplier that overcharged by thousands of dollars.
Shame, 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 shame on you.
$7,000 to bandage one toe? Unbelievable, but true. After Helen Neary's toe operation, her doctor, knowing she'd need to change the dressing, contacted Contemporary Medical Technology. The company had offered to supply his patients with bandages in their home and bill their insurance company. But the doctor says the company never asked about the amount of supplies Helen would need. A woman from Contemporary Medical Technology delivered this huge carton of wound care kits, more gauze and bandages than Helen will probably need for the rest of her life.
Well, I was amazed. I said, all of this for one little toe?
Helen only used a couple of packs of bandages for the 2 weeks it took her toe to get better. She was left with all the rest. Bad enough it was a waste of good medical supplies. But then came the bill. Would you believe the company billed Medicare $7,000?
Of the $7,000 billed by Contemporary Medical Technology, Medicare approved almost $5,500. And Helen's is not the only one. CMT billed Leonard Malamud over $5,000 for bandages, most of which he didn't need. His wife couldn't believe it.
So I said, bandages? Almost $6,000 for bandages? I said, you got to be kidding.
While the bills may seem outrageous to us, the fact is that Medicare pays medical supply companies so much more for these items than you or I would pay if we went to any pharmacy and bought the same things.
Medicare paid CMT $2.18 for a roll of tape 3 feet long. We bought 30 feet of the same tape for $1.99. Medicare pays 45 cents for a gauze pad. We paid 16 cents. For this special bandage, Medicare reimburses $9.99. We paid $2. Medicare officials say their reimbursement rate is based on the amount the companies charge them, not what the items really cost. A system they admit is wasteful.
No, we're not happy with this payment system. As I told you, we are moving away from this payment system.
And we've learned that Contemporary Medical Technology charged Medicare for items it never delivered. Helen Neary's bill was for 900 gauze pads, over 500 wound dressings, and 180 rolls of tape. That's 6 times as much as she actually got. So I went to CMT's office in New City, New York, after owner Michael Libro refused to return my calls.
Can you tell us about the overbilling? Can you please take your foot out of the door so I can answer my... I've lost my phone call now. Would you please come back and talk to us about this? Can you stay one moment,
Absolutely.
please? Thank you.
Libro never did return. He apparently makes a nice living billing for bandages. That's his Mercedes-Benz. And this is his large home in New City.
Shame, shame, shame.
Now, the company, CMT, has been forced to give back $4,000 to Medicare for overbilling Helen Neary, but Medicare continues to investigate the rest of the company's billings.
Thanks, Arnold.
Okay.
24 minutes before the hour. Coming up next, what every man should know about PMS.
rich. Yeah, I'm thirsty. Me too. We got soda, OJ, purple stuff, and 2 kinds of Sunny D. 2 kinds? All right.
Some kids love the rich and tangy taste of original Sunny Delight. Others go for the lighter texture and smoother orange taste of California style. Moms love the vitamins in both.
Hey, your mama's cool. Yeah, I know.
Sunny Delight, the good stuff kids go for.
East of the Texas Hill Country in Austin, there's a place that just won't let you go home hungry. It's called Threadgill's. And here you might find yourself behind a great big chicken fried steak, a mountain of red beans and rice, or even a microphone. So if you go, bring your appetite for a good time and your Visa card. Because Threadgill's might let you take the stage, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
You like food. You get heartburn. You take Maalox. Life is good.
People get so emotional. It's the biggest transaction of their life. They look to you for that help, and you just have to guide them through that process.
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Century 21, rated best at selling homes.
Where nature stores gas. Where man does. Right idea. Brighter idea.
True value. Help is just around the corner.
This morning's health report is sponsored by Raisin Nut Brand cereal. Why stop at raisins when you can go nuts? Try Raisin Nut Brand cereal.
It is 20 minutes before the hour. For the past couple of days, we've been looking at the terrible effect that premenstrual syndrome has on women. Well, this morning, we want to focus on what happens to the families of PMS patients. Here to help us understand all that is author Stephanie Bender of the PMS Clinic in Boulder, Colorado. Also with us, her patient, Michael Scheidler, whose wife suffers from PMS. Good morning and welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Hi there. Stephanie, when did you start viewing PMS as a family problem?
I started viewing it as a family problem as soon as I started realizing that the reason that women were coming to the PMS clinic was because they didn't know what to do with the impact that this was having on their family. They didn't know how to talk to their children about PMS. They didn't know how to talk to their parents or their partners about PMS. And they didn't know how to talk about PMS in the workplace. So it became very obvious that this is more than just a medical problem. This has implications which reach much farther than that.
Let's talk about those implications. Before your wife found a successful treatment for the symptoms of PMS, what was your family life like?
It could be very disturbing. There were times in my wife's life that just couldn't be explained.
What kind of things would she do that would leave you confused or hurt?
I can't really say hurt, but confused about certain erratic behavior that I just didn't understand.
And how about
I don't think she did either.
How about the children?
What
sort of things would she do to them that would leave them bewildered?
She was very harsh in dealing with the children at times.
Which is a very common problem.
Yes, it is. And the number one reason that women seek treatment for PMS is because they're afraid that they're going to harm children, not from a physical standpoint, but from the emotional impact. They realize that they lose their temper more easily, that they're not themselves, that there are days when they can bring the whole football team home, and on other days they don't even want the child in the house themselves. So it's very confusing. The inconsistency is what is so confusing about this, because she perceives herself to be a very different type of person at different times of her cycle.
Now that you are more in tune with these inconsistencies in behavior, how are things at home? Have things changed all that much, or is it just that you're more sensitive to what your wife is going through at the time?
Both of that's true. Number one, my wife is much smoother as a result of dealing with Stephanie, and number two, I'm more aware of what it is, and as a result of that, I can deal with her much better. And I think it really has improved our home life considerably.
When things got really bad, were you concerned about your relationship going down the tubes, about a possible divorce?
I personally almost don't believe in divorce, but regardless, that wasn't the concern. My concern was my wife. she felt bad. She didn't understand, and I was just concerned about what was she going to do as a person, and how was she able to cope with this? What was this that was causing her to be so erratic in her behavior?
What have you found in your counseling is the single biggest mistake couples make when they try to confront this erratic behavior and you try to build empathy?
Right. That frequently she is looked at as the problem. There's a lot of blaming. If you would just get yourself fixed, everything in the relationship would be fine, which is a very handy scapegoat, by the way, because there obviously are other issues going on in the relationship. But it's an easy one to fall into that trap in terms of her feeling like she is the problem, because as PMS women, we know that our behavior is not what we want it to be. So there's a lot of self-blame, and probably the largest problem in terms of couples is that frequently it will become a very handy catch-all. It's her PMS, and there's a blaming rather than taking responsibility jointly for getting something done.
Stephanie Michael, we appreciate your telling us about the brighter side of all this.
From now on, your Raisin Nut brand will be different. We've added 25% more nut-covered raisins. We thought you should be prepared. Look for specially marked boxes.
YoPlay, calcium-rich, active yogurt cultures, 99% fat-free. That's why Shonda Sawyer does it every day. Smooth, creamy YoPlay. Do it for you.
Some people just want clean teeth, but others want to keep their teeth healthy for life. For you, Oral-B introduces the Advantage Plaque Remover. Its power tip removes plaque behind your back teeth, and its action cup is clinically proven to be highly effective against gum disease. So the Advantage has the same goal as you and your dentist, helping your permanent teeth stay that way. The new Advantage Plaque Remover, the best toothbrush ever from Oral-B, the brand more dentists use.
Today, our most shocking case to date. During the week, Leonard Connor's a mild-mannered ad executive, but on weekends, he becomes Leonard Connor phone junkie. Friends, relatives, it doesn't matter who he calls as long as he's on the phone. His crime? Not taking advantage of Sprint's new offer to split the cost of calls all weekend long. Don't let this happen to you. Call now with 50% off. It's a crime to miss it.
When brewing a whole pot of coffee doesn't make sense, choose Maxwell House Filter Pack Singles. Rich Maxwell House coffee in one fresh brewed cup. Filter Pack Singles. New from Maxwell House.
WJXT, the one and only Channel 4. This is Eyewitness News this morning.
Good morning, everyone. 42 degrees at 7:45. Time for a look at business news. Chrysler says it wants to expand production by more than 1/3 and add up to 6,000 jobs to meet demand for the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Dodge Ram pickup truck, and other vehicles. If the automaker gets agreements it wants with labor, governments, and suppliers, it could spend some $1.8 billion to increase annual production worldwide by 1996. Meanwhile, our Money Pro says if you're a woman and you feel like you're getting ripped off for services rendered, listen up. He has some tips that could save you money.
Recent findings by consumer advocates indicate women always pay more for services, like dry cleaning. We asked some dry cleaners if, in fact, they charge the same or similar for women's and men's clothes.
The price will be the same if it's the same kind of garment. Women's suits cost the same as men's suits cost. There's no extra charge for a woman's suit just because it's a woman's clothes.
Women can be charged more when they have silk blouses or ruffles and shoulder pads that do require special pressing. Skirts with pleats cost more to press as well, and your cleaner should charge on this same basis. Check it out with your own private survey. So whether it's dry cleaning or auto repair, women and men can avoid being overcharged by staying sharp and alert. With auto repairs, take an interest in what the mechanics say. Watch them work. Get written estimates and question any procedure or repair you don't understand. Act like you know what's going on, even if you don't. And next, ATM cash machine withdrawal fees charged by many banks jumped 38% last year to about 40 cents per transaction. Unfortunately, many of us are not aware we're paying for this. So ask your bank for its checking fee menu. If it charges too much for ATM transactions, consider using a more cost-effective bank. Many banks do not charge for ATM transactions, but always avoid accessing spendable cash too often. For more information on today's Money Matters, please send me your self-addressed stamped envelope right here at the station and ask for mailbag number 163. Steve Crowley, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
And if you'd like to receive that mailbag, just write to More for Your Money, 4 Broadcast Place, Jacksonville 32247. And keep in mind, it could take up to 6 weeks to get that information back to you. Time now for a look at Friday's forecast. Woody says expected to be sunny today with a cool breeze. Our high today should be around 72 degrees. Our low should be around 48. That is our news for now. Thanks so very much for watching. Our next local report comes your way at 8:07. Hope to see you then. But until then, enjoy more of CBS This Morning. Make it a great Friday.
She was one of the top TV journalists in the world.
President Reagan returned to Washington.
The first woman ever to anchor the Olympic Games. Then she lost her job, gained weight, and dropped out of sight.
I was scared. I was really scared.
On the next Maury Povich Show, Kathleen Sullivan shares her amazing comeback story.
And I'm about 2 pounds away from my weight goal.
Find out how she lost weight right in front of the TV public.
A woman came up to me last night and she said, I started last week because of you.
On the next Maury.
This morning at 10 on WJXT, Channel 4.
Why are thousands flocking to the Franchise and Business Opportunity Show?
Let's get some ideas on opening a new business.
I'd like to go into business for myself.
We're looking for a new business opportunity. This weekend, come and see for yourself the many opportunities that can put you on the road to financial independence.
Got a lot of new ideas and a lot of information, and everyone is extremely helpful.
The Franchise and Business Opportunity Show, this Saturday and Sunday at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville. Your future could depend on it. Don't miss it.
Is that good looking or what? And your local Southern Ford dealer's magnificent probe looks even better with this limited time offer. Hurry in now for low 3.9% financing or $500 cash back on any new probe, including Probe GT. 3.9 financing for up to 48 months or $500 cash back, but only for a limited time. I like it. You will too. See your local Southern Ford dealer now and save.
From cruises to air travel to places to live, see how to get something for almost nothing. All next week on CBS This Morning.
10 minutes until the hour, it was about time. Last night in Hollywood, the American Film Institute paid tribute to greatness when it presented a Lifetime Achievement Award to Jack Nicholson. At the ceremony, we asked other celebs what made Jack a star.
He's able to be more comfortable in front of the camera than he is in real life.
Because he's so good.
And what makes him a legend?
Because he's so good.
He's an excellent human being and a star.
He's larger than life and one of the greatest of all time.
Talent. He's loaded with it.
They did show up, didn't they? 1,100 friends, fans, and colleagues celebrated Nicholson's 35-year career, all looking very Jack in shades handed out to one and all. And they listened as the guest of honor took the stage.
I'm touched, and unfortunately, I'm not drunk, and lucky to be at large. Thank you.
The event was taped to be aired next Thursday night here on CBS. Now with a look at how Jack earned that honor. Someone who's followed his career for years, our own Gene Siskel joins us from WBBM-TV in Chicago. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Harry. We're lucky he's alive. Just terrific. I want to focus, Harry, on the early Jack Nicholson career because I think there's a whole generation of young people that may not know him. Let's take a look.
Young people today probably know him best as Smiling Jack, the Joker from Batman. Or maybe Smiling Jack, the rabid professional basketball fan. But Jack Nicholson is and has been so much more than that.
Oh, I've got a helmet. I got a beauty.
A quarter-century ago, starting with Easy Rider, Nicholson at age 31 began playing some of the most complex modern men ever put on the big screen. In 5 Easy Pieces, he was the concert pianist son of a wealthy, stern father who ran away from his past.
The best that I can do is apologize.
In Chinatown, a detective in way over his head uncovering the public corruption of Southern California land development and the private corruption of the bond between a father and a daughter.
You can't always tell what's going on. Like with you.
In The Last Detail, perhaps his best performance as a career sailor who, along with another swabby, takes a parental interest in a young, innocent sailor he must take to prison.
Give him the spinner, kid!
In his Oscar-winning role in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he played a rebellious soul who stands up to the establishment in the form of a nurse who rules his ward with an iron fist.
I think we might ease it down a little bit so maybe the boys didn't have to shout. Huh?
Well, now, we're just up to 1975, Harry. There's 19 more years of Jack Nicholson stuff. We could be here to the evening news talking about all those highlights of his career. It's that early stuff, though, that I think is so important. And I left out some very good films in those early years. Films like The Passenger with Michelangelo Antonioni. Films like
Carnal Knowledge.
I mean, this man, Harry, what he stands for in the early career is a man who could not relate to women because he could not relate to himself. This is not the confident Jack that we see later on in his career. This was the troubled Jack Nicholson. The 1970s, the early 1970s, were the most interesting era of American filmmaking in the last quarter century, and Jack Nicholson is the key to that era in filmmaking. That is the foundation of this great career.
What do you think makes him a star?
Well, I'll give you another celebrity quote, like you were taking at the top of this piece, from Gene Hackman. I once asked Gene Hackman, a wonderful film critic as well as an actor, about Jack Nicholson, and he said, this is Gene Hackman talking, I go to Jack Nicholson pictures, Hackman said. He says, hoping to find out his secret of how to get women and how to be a cool guy. He says, I always go and I think I'm going to find out the secret. He says, and I never do. He never gives it away, and I keep coming back film after film. And I think that's part of his appeal. Also, there's the man and boy dichotomy, which you find in our greatest actors. They're clearly men, they're clearly adults, but they're also childlike. And Nicholson has that tremendous range. You see it, I think, in, I called it, I think, his finest film, and that's The Last Detail. If I do nothing else this morning, let me get a whole generation of young moviegoers to try and rent The Last Detail from late 1973, and you'll see a full range of a character of Jack Nicholson.
And Terms of Endearment, and Carnal Knowledge, and Hoffa, and Witches of Eastwick, and all of these movies, even some of which people may have not liked as a whole, he seemed to be terrific in.
That would include The Shining, I think one of the flawed Stanley Kubrick pictures, but clearly Nicholson again at the top of his game in the 70s.
Good to see you, Gene. Thanks so much for your help this morning.
Well, this is a pleasure to talk about him.
5 minutes before the hour. We'll be right back.
This portion of CBS This Morning was sponsored by Color Tile and Carpet. At Color Tile and Carpet, we cover it all for less.
They did it again. Color Tile beat our prices again.
This time they're giving 40, 50, 60%